Hey, welcome everybody to our third edition ever of Two Fools in Fantasy Football. My name is Tyler. I am a very uncool fool Greer, and this is
Marty McReynolds. I'm very cool. I am not a fool, but I do like to party. That's why they call me Party Marty.
and he does like to party, folks. Folks, today we're going to be talking about heroes and zeros. So we're going to talk about people who maybe possibly gave you the win this week and people who made you get the loss this week. So that'll be a very nice topic. We're going to talk about waiver wire drops and ads for this week, and also the injury news and notes that came in for week 6. So Marty's going to start here with the heroes of the week for week 6.
All right. So for QBs so far, we've got Watson for the old Houston Texans. Got you 32 points this week, depending on your scoring in your leagues. But in most generic leagues, it got you about 32 points. As of right now, as the game going on, Kyler Murray is killing it right now against the Cowboys. He's already sitting at 27 points, and it's not even the fourth quarter. So he should be giving you a lot more points as the game goes on. Also, Matt Ryan getting the first win of the year for the Atlanta Falcons, gets you 31 points going in there. On the running backs, Derrick Henry absolutely killed it this week. Most points in fantasy this week from anybody, 40.4 points. D Swift for Detroit ran wild today for this past Sunday for 27 points. Also running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jones III, 26.1 points. Under receivers, Justin Jefferson, the rookie. We talked about him on our last episode with his yak yards, 39.6 points yesterday. Julio Jones finally decided to catch some balls this week from Matt Ryan, helping get those 31 points. So Jones sitting at 33.7. We got T. Higgins sitting at 18.7 points for your last receiver. Tight ends this week, no surprise, the man in San Fran, George Kittle, 24 points. The defense, Tampa Bay's defense just stifled Aaron Rodgers, killed the man. 19 points coming from Tampa Bay. And the lone scorer for the entire Denver offense against New England, McManus, kicking it, 24 points for the kicker this week. So if you add him, he got you more points than some of your receivers or running backs this week. So good join the big leg from Denver.
Yeah, if you had him, he might have. If you had a really bad a guy like busted this week, like a Juju Smith-Schuster or a Julian Edelman, if you picked up him this week, he made up those points. So that would be a great pickup. So and that also what we talked about last week is the red zone offense. The Broncos are number 5 or number 4 at 46%. So every time they're in the red zone, they only score 46% of the time. So that correlation, it works real well. So if you watch our last episode, you took notes and you picked them up possibly, you might have made yourself a nice week winner. So that was the good news. Now we're going to talk some about the bad news for some of us here, the lineup decisions that did not go our way. It happens. It's a week-to-week league. So, some decisions are good and some aren't. So we lead off this week in Tampa Bay. We had a hero in Rob Gronkowski who came back on the fantasy scene. We had one who was a fantasy bust in Mike Evans. He only got one catch this week for 10 yards. Not what you're expecting against the Packers, not what you're hoping for if you're a Mike Evans owner. But that's okay. He's had some great weeks up until this week. He's had a touchdown every game. So, one bad week, it happens. He'll bounce back next week, I'm sure. So another guy who had a tough week was Julian Edelman. Another guy who had a bad week again was T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton, if you have him on your squad, you might want to bench him for the rest of the year, or maybe try to do a trade for him. Maybe it's just an add-on or something else. Another guy who had a tough week was Juju Smith-Schuster. He had a great couple of weeks when he first started, but the last couple of weeks he's kind of faded, and that comes with the arrival of Mr. Claypool, which I don't think anybody really saw just how much of an impact he would have on this offense. But now, as we're rolling into the season and we're a little deeper into the season, we're kind of understanding how these offenses are going to roll, and Claypool is going to be the 1A and 1B, like we were saying earlier with Johnson for the rest of the year for the Steelers wideout. So look out for that, and that's gonna hinder Juju's rest of the year. He's not going to be as good as he was at the beginning of the year. That's just how it is. Somebody steps up, somebody goes down. It's the way it rolls. A tight end who had a terrible week. This guy's Mr. Consistency. If you have him every week in, week out, I mean, he's a top 3 tight end every week. Mark Andrews had a bad week. It happens. Move on. He's still, you put him in there, you forget about him. Don't even worry about it. Another guy who had a terrible week, which we called from the very get-go, was Odell Beckham Jr. He had a sickness. He wasn't feeling good. He came back. Who knows if that sickness had much of a hindrance in his play, but he didn't have a good week. The Browns offense in general didn't have a good week. They played the Steelers. Micah Fitzpatrick had a big interception in the beginning, really turned the tide of that whole game. So quarterback who had a terrible day, and I was wrong on this. I thought he was going to have a big day. The way Tampa Bay gives up yards in the passing game was Aaron Rodgers. They came out to a 10-point lead, and then after that, the Tampa Bay defense just got pissed off, and they just put their head down. They just went for it. So they scored 14 points real quick. The defense, they had a pick 6 right away, changed the whole momentum of the game. Rodgers was not the same after the 2 picks, and it was very obvious in the fourth quarter when they pulled him that he was not himself. He was not the Aaron Rodgers that we saw the previous 5 weeks this week. A defense that was a huge letdown this week. If you had the Titans defense, -4 points. Negative points are never good. Obviously, it's only going to happen basically for defenses. That whole game between Houston and Tennessee, if you had either defense whatsoever, I'm pretty sure you didn't win your week. So I'm just throwing it out there. So, and we also have a huge disappointment for John Brown. He was kind of inactive, active. There was a lot of people talking if he was going to play or not, but he did play. He put a big goose egg. The last 4 games they've played, he's only caught 4 balls. So if he's somebody who's on the fence that you don't want to keep, if you need to grab somebody this week, he'd be somebody you might want to think about dropping. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then also two studs, 2 guys who you had high draft capital on. Tyreek Hill, he had a clunker today. But also too, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he ran the ball. They ran the ball for 185 yards plus. They had they were averaging 7.8 yards per rush. So if you're doing that on a consistent basis, you're going to win football games. And it was raining in Buffalo, so it was all the right ingredients for them to have a big run game, and they did. And welcome to the 185 club, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Hopefully you can keep that up and keep your role on the team, and that would be great. And Le'Veon Bell's going to come in and do his thing too as well. So it's really exciting to see that they did that, and it kind of reminds me of what Cleveland did at the beginning of the year with Hunt and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. So we'll see how that squares out as the rest of the year goes on. And speaking of Kareem Hunt, like we said earlier, the whole Cleveland team had a really bad game. Kareem Hunt is just somebody you're counting on to get you some points. He didn't perform to his usual level, which happens. The whole team had a really bad week. So it happens. Let it go. Move on. Next week is a whole new week. Cleveland's going to be much better with Baker Mayfield or without him in his bad rib. So we'll see. But, yeah, man. Kareem Hunt, he's still a play every week. Don't change one thing about him. So, and then we're going to talk about some ads here, some guys that we think you should add on to your team. Depending on what's going on. So we have some bye weeks coming up that we know of, or some teams are on bye weeks coming up this week. So Marty's going to give you some ads this week.
All right. Number 1 on my list for ads is the receiver out of Denver, Tim Patrick. Had a great game against New England. Was catching everything was thrown to him. Was just kind of a breath of fresh air for Denver right now. Second on the list we got here is the wide receiver out of Philly, Travis. Probably mispronounced his last name, Fulgham. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Travis Fulgham. Big part of their almost comeback win. I'm glad they lost against the old Ravens there. And number 3 here, tight end, Robbie Gronk out of Tampa Bay. Finally started getting back in sync with TB12 there in Tampa Bay. Caught a touchdown pass, a couple more passes. So I think he'll start throughout the rest of the year. He'll start having a good rest of the season. Running back out of Baltimore, Gus Edwards. We will talk about why he's a good waiver pickup later on in the injury reports. But definitely pick him up. Baltimore runs the ball when they're not letting Lamar Jackson run all over the field. So pick up old Gus Edwards out of Baltimore. We talked about it earlier. Brandon McManus, kicker, Denver. Get him. You got your 24 points this week. With us talking about Denver's not getting they get in the red zone, they don't score. They kick field goals. So pick him up. He'll get you more points. Tight end of Houston, Darren Falls. He's had some good games in the past couple years, but he had a really good game this week against Tennessee Titans. And last one for the ads, or second to last one on the ads, J.D. McCastrick out of the Washington football team, running back. They're kind of a running back carousel right now down in Washington. But he's showing the best promise so far and the best upside of the other two that they're throwing out there. So pick him up. He's only owned in, I'd say, maybe 40% leagues, maybe less. So he's a good pickup for anybody out there looking for a running back too, maybe a flex. People coming up on bye weeks, he's a good pickup to plug in there for 1 week. And the other quarterback, Tannehill. Everybody sleeps on Ryan Tannehill. The guy, he's a veteran. He knows how to win. The reason people didn't like him in Florida because he had Adam Case, who, if he's not fired by tomorrow by the Jets, me and Tyler are going to write a personal letter to the Jets. We're not Jet fans, just football fans wondering why this man still has a job coaching a professional football team. So that's our waiver wire ads this week. Should have some more. We might come up with some more tomorrow after today's games. But now we're going to talk about some. Tyler's going to give you some drops or potential trade bait.
Yep. And just one other guy I want to add on to the ads is Boston Scott for Philly. I don't know if you covered him. I didn't hear it, but Boston Scott this week. And the only reason why it is because Miles Sanders is out. So all you Miles Sanders owners out there, and even people who want to swoop up Boston Scott to piss off your buddy if you guys play in a friend league, or just to grab somebody. Boston Scott's going to get a lot of the carries this week. And they play a New York Giants defense, which isn't known to stop anybody. So just a quick little add on there for you. Now we're going to talk about the waiver wire drops this week. Some guys who you can take off your roster, man. Some guys who you don't need anymore, who aren't performing to the level that you drafted them. With this kind of stuff, anytime you drop somebody, for me personally, I know it's it's like a little bit of emotional attachment because you invested a high draft pick on them, or I'm a guy, I don't want to be wrong. So that's the other thing too. It's like when you're wrong, you're like, oh, that sucks. But yeah. Anyway, some of these guys I would definitely let go, let them go back into the pond and let somebody else go fish for them. So first one we're going to start with is John Brown. We talked about him earlier. 4 catches in the last 4 games. He hasn't done really anything for you at all. He's always hurt or kind of healthy or whatever. He was like this in Arizona too, where he would have like 1 or 2 stellar games and the rest he would just kind of like flutter around. So he had a great year last year. That was kind of the outlier, but the rest of this time he's just kind of back to where he was at before. Next guy we would have to say goodbye to is T.Y. Hilton. If you're holding on to him for some reason, I don't know why at this point. Phillip Rivers had his best game of the year by far with 3 touchdowns last week and over 300 yards, and T.Y. Hilton only saw 10 of them. So he's not even looking for him even on his best day. So if you're holding on to T.Y. Hilton for any reason, you need to just get rid of him right away. Just let him go and say take care of Ty. So next guy we should drop is Leonard Fournette. Ronald Jones III, he solidified himself as the running back in Tampa Bay. Leonard Fournette's been injured this whole year. He can't get healthy. He's never healthy in Jacksonville. He kept playing because they really had nobody else, and he was just not banged up enough last year to play. So Leonard Fournette is somebody you can get rid of. There's so many other guys that are going to help you this week in the long term too. One is, like Marty said, J.D. McKissick. He going into week 5, he was the 5th most targeted running backs, which I don't know a lot of people would peg him as that person, but just with that alone in a PPR league, it makes him more valuable, obviously. But if you have him in a PPR league, Washington's going to him. They like to throw to their running backs. That's what Rivera likes to do. When he was coaching with the Carolina Panthers, they did a lot. They did that a lot with McCaffrey too. It goes on down now to Washington, so it's no surprise. And they don't really have a whole lot of weapons other than Scary Terry, so it makes a lot of sense for them to go to the running back and dump it off here and there. Get a cheap 4 or 5 yard, gain on first down, make it 2nd and 5 instead of, 2nd and 10, which helps out the offense here, which helps out the offense overall. But another guy we could definitely drop is Marvin Jones Jr. for Detroit. the dude's been a ghost. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't think he's injured or just doesn't want to play this year, or just he just knows Matt Patricia's still his coach and doesn't want to play for him. I mean, that's my guess because I don't think anybody wants to play for Patricia in Detroit. So, and they did play Jacksonville this week. They got a gimme win. I mean, it's basically like if you're a golfer putting three feet from the hole. I mean, it's a gimme. Everybody's gonna not want to do that, so everybody's gonna make it. But one guy that you can get rid of too is Scotty Miller from Tampa Bay. He was supposed to be their third receiver this year. They got healthy, and they also have the kid Johnson, the rookie who's out playing Scotty Miller. He just got a touchdown this week from Tom Brady. He's starting to climb up a little bit on the rankings for Tampa Bay. So Scotty Miller is somebody you can let go of if you're holding on to him in case the Godwin didn't come back this week or Evans is still banged up. Yeah, just let him go and move on with that one. The last guy that you can get rid of this week is Joshua Kelly from the Los Angeles Chargers. Jefferson's taken over that role as a running back, as a lead dog, and Austin Eckler is going to get back here pretty soon. So Joshua Kelly, UCLA rookie, had a couple good weeks, but other than that, he's basically been a fumble case this year, and the coaching staff has no trust in him. So if the coaching staff doesn't trust him, you shouldn't trust him because he's not going to play. That's just the way it is. So. And then we have some injury stuff coming up right now. The news we just got was Raheem, I can't say his name right, Raheem Mostert for the San Francisco 49ers. We just went back on IR because of his ankle injury again, re-aggravated it. Tough break for the dude. He's a great running back. He's a stud. He makes that offense go. If you have him on your fantasy roster, he was crushing it for you for the first couple of weeks. Now, initially, we had Jerry McKinnon, Jet, one of the running backs on the Niners, as a let go candidate this week. But with the news just coming out, we put McKinnon on hold. If you have him on your roster, hold on to him, see what happens to the Niners offense. When they were all out, he was the main dude. He toted the rock the most. So just hold on to him for the Niners running scheme. They have a good, I mean, they're run heavy, so that's what they're going to do. So just kind of wait and hold on that guy, kind of see what happens before you make any drastic measures on that one. Now Zach Ertz was the biggest injury news this week, the biggest name other than his teammate Miles Sanders. Zach Ertz is out 3 to 4 weeks right now. As of right now, he's getting a second opinion on everything for his ankle to see what's going on. Definitely not going to play on Thursday against the Giants. Definitely not going to have Miles Sanders on Thursday for the Giants. For Philly against the Giants. So two of their big horses are going to be out. So that even makes that Fulcrum ad even more luxurious because he's going to get more targets because literally Carson Wentz's targets are going to be street bums and him. So that's all he has right now coming out. And then another guy who got injured this weekend is Mark Ingram. That's one of the reasons why we said to add Gus Edwards. Number one, Gus Edwards is making more yards per carry than Mark Ingram is this year. Mark Ingram is on the wrong side of 30. His body's starting to break down. He's not staying healthy. It looks like last year was as good last year as a running back. The Ravens do a running back by committee because they know that Mark Ingram can't hold up anymore. They're trying to bring J.K. Dobbins slowly along, but that's probably going to speed up the process now that Mark Ingram hurt his ankle. So just be aware of that. But yeah, Gus Edwards is the guy you want to grab. You got a touchdown this weekend, so he's the guy the Ravens like the most right now out of that backfield, other than, of course, their quarterback who, he runs a lot too. We all know that. That's where he gets a lot of his points from. So one other injury note who might be pretty significant that you want to keep an eye on is Devontae Parker. Went out early for the Miami Dolphins this year. He was Ryan Fitzpatrick's favorite target this year so far. They have a great connection, a great hookup. They've had it ever since last year. So keep an eye on that. He's questionable to come and play on Sunday. So if he's not in the lineup, you might want to look on the waiver wire for a couple guys that we suggested. Especially Tim Patrick for the for the Denver Broncos. He's had back-to-back 100 yards games, so that's not easy to do in the NFL. We all know that. So just having that alone right there, it's going to be 10 fantasy points just with that. And then if you're in a PPR league, obviously 1 point per catch, so that's going to add up real quick for you. Another guy, Devin Bush, linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, tore his ACL. For fantasy purposes, this isn't a lot. This doesn't mean a lot, so we're just kind of skip past it, but just let you know what happened with that one. And then we talked about Miles Sanders, of course. He's not going to be playing this week. That's a huge loss for them. And then also there was one other trade today. It was Steve McLendon from the New York Jets got traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For fantasy purposes, that has no relevance whatsoever. But I just want to let y'all know that Tampa Bay's defense did get a little better. with their 19 points. So if you do have Tampa Bay's defense, that might mean a little bit to you. So,
You know, he was happy for it.
yeah, to go from the 0-6 Adam Gase led Jets to the well, are they 4-2 now? 4-2 Bruce Arians, no risk it, no biscuit offense. Yeah, thank you, please. Well, I heard this. Well, I heard the story. He got traded at the third quarter, and they told him to leave the field and drive down to Tampa. Okay, see ya. Oh, here's some gas money. See you later. Oh, wait, you probably don't need that. You're going to be at Tampa now. You're probably going to win a ring.
Honey, pack our stuff. We're out.
Where are you going? About 3 miles up the coast on the other side of Florida. I'll see you there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's funny, dude. So, anyways, so that's our show for today. We have all that stuff for our Monday. So ad drops, injury news, all that stuff. So please add, share our video. We're just getting started out. We just want to give you all the wonderful information that we're gaining every single day, week with all this stuff. So we just want to relate to you, make it easier for you to digest. If you want to put any comments, anything like that, we will respond. We'll get back to you right away. So, we really enjoy getting information. We really enjoy having questions asked. We really enjoy having our knowledge be tested each and every single week. So, all right. Well, that for me, I am Tyler, the uncool fool Greer.
And Party Marty.
All right, y'all.
Hit that bell icon to get notified of all of our videos that we post.
And Marty can use that voice all the time.
I can.
All right, folks. Y'all have a great rest of your night, and we'll have another video out tomorrow for you. Bye.
Have a good Monday.